Hello, I'm Marcus V. Calvert, and welcome to Tales Unlimited, the disturbing thought of the day. Old West story. You have a legit medicine man. I won't go into the backstory of why the medicine men didn't just slaughter everybody who messed with their tribes. That would have been an interesting backstory right there. Like, what if there was a quiet shadow war? Like when you had Lewis and Clark heading west, they were escorted by a small pack of sorcerers who basically disrupted the flow of magic, making it easier for colonization. And the medicine men never quite recovered because, well, the medicine men they pray for their magic. They draw from extra dimensional beings. Sorcerers draw from different sources, influences, right? So you may have a war sorcerer, you may have an elemental sorcerer. They need to be around what they draw from, and if they are, then they can have some fun. So you have sorcerers who are weak and sorcerers who are modest, and there are sorcerers who are strong if they're in their element. Like modern day, you may actually have a sorcerer of the city who just hangs out in large cities and never leaves, and their magic feeds off of it. That's in itself is a I don't know, a movie franchise. You're welcome. But I'm thinking more of this in this story, in this context. You have a medicine man who managed to draw some power and it got cut off. He was keeping like a ragtag group of survivors alive. He was really, really trying. And they were having a bad year finding food and stuff. So he goes off, he finds some sacred ground, he does a prayer, for a good hunt. He comes back and everybody's dead. And his last shreds of nice died with his family. His last shreds of nice, of the lines he would not cross. Because he's like, oh, yes, we do draw powers from the good, but we could also draw powers from the bad if we have to. And that is a line the medicine man rarely crossed, and well, he's like, screw that. So he draws upon the powers of the bad. And those lines, those channels were never cut. Fast forward to year 3. You have this charming, dashing guy, White. Well, the guy can basically just do a little spell and change his ethnicity with a wave of the hand. His wagon covered with nice little doodads. And it turns into a roaming version of Needful Things with a twist. Because he's heard how they came across, he's heard how they see Native Americans. And as an evil twist, he decides, okay, you think we like shiny things? We're going to give you a shiny thing. And what he does is he takes something nice, an antique, like let's say a mirror or a coat rack made of pure brass, or something shiny but large enough for a crowd to see. He's like, I have blah 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 blah. And he's selling stuff off nice and normal. And then he pulls off the one thing, and that one thing might be like a crucifix, or this here is a spear held by the owned by the great Indian chief, blah blah blah. And who starts the bidding at $1, $1, and it turns out whoever has the most money, whether it's the richest person or someone who just happens to have a lot of gold in his pocket or something, buys it. Like, sold to the gentleman for blah blah blah, and he walks away with some fat bank right then and there, rides off, and everyone's looking at this thing, and they want it, and they want it, and they want it, and the whole town kills itself over this shiny thing, whatever it is, this big shiny thing, and everybody's dead, down to the children, dead within 3 days, and their souls go to feed the dark thing. And the medicine man changes his wagon, changes his face, just rides off. Actually, what he might do is just wave his hand and the wagon becomes a horse, and he just rides off fast. And everyone's looking for, this shady bastard in the wagon. Maybe, if there are any survivors, maybe. And no one can find anything. No one knows anything. And fast forward to the good guy, I guess. You have a sorcerer, a fire sorcerer, and he loves the Old West. And it's not that he draws power directly from fire. He draws power directly from the daylight, from the heat around him. But his main thing is fire, let's say. So he's riding along under scorching heat without breaking a sweat. And by day, he can save it. By night, he has a finite box of magic. And he's going to visit somebody in one of these towns that gets wiped out. And he catches a whiff of magic. And he goes after this because he smells demonic magic. And he ends up going head to head with his medicine man who's plugged in to, I don't know, chains of power from at least 4 different demon lords. Who wins? Because the sorcerer is outgunned here. He is really outgunned. And if he doesn't stop this guy, well, let's just say there will be no America. So this could be an alternate history. And it may be that the sorcerer loses. Does the sorcerer call for help? Is it a small pack of bastards to go after this guy and lose? Or do they win? What happens? Does the whole world burn and sink into despair and greed over shiny things? Yeah. Well, I'm Marcus V. Calvert. That's my disturbing thought of the day. This is Tales Unlimited. Please check out TalesUnlimited.net. Why? Well, the podcasts, Disturbing Thought of the Day, for example, or Battery. Both worthy, and if you like how I think, maybe you like how I write, there are books on TalesUnlimited.net. Hit the links, check them out. They go straight to Amazon. There is the Battery series, 200 writing prompts and a little bit of wisdom on how to build yourself into writing that first American novel, but before going at it directly, before going at it cold. Because if you go at it cold, it's going to take you years too many to finish. But if you start writing short stories, like 200 writing prompts, you take half of them and you just, your way, your speed, but with discipline, with a routine. If you can bang out 100 short stories, then go after the novel, much easier. It's also good for people at all levels. So if you're already a novelist and you need a twisted idea, well, Tales Unlimited is the right place. Battery, definitely the right place. Or an evil GM, someone looking to make a better comic book. Come on, Battery's the place. Also, there is, let's just say there's a pairing of anthologies. Unheroic series on one side, Book of Schemes on another. Think New School Twilight Zone. 25 stories to a book. Themes are unheroic, unlikely heroes saving the day, like a demon and a rabbi are fighting evil back to back. Or schemes, all kinds of schemes, like what if you took the Daytona 500, added a 0, put it on another planet? I'll just stop there. I won't even mention the tanks. Okay, and Ivellen. So let's say Ivellen's my novel series. I finally got there after writing all these short stories and anthologies and having my fans grabbing my lapels, screaming at me, "Write a novel!" And I was actually making money doing anthologies. I did not want to write novels because I had tried so hard and failed so many times. But turned out that after banging away a few anthologies, after writing over 180 short stories, it wasn't so horrible. Still hurt, but it wasn't so horrible as before. Now, what is Ivellen? Sin City with superpowers. Story about a supervillain who's forced to fight crime, in a nutshell. And no one thought he would succeed. He was set up to fail. He lost his criminal empire, but he started from scratch and had something of a midlife crisis. And dadgummit, he pulls it off. For now. All right. I'm Marcus V. Calvert. This is Tales Unlimited. Please check us out. Till then, have a lovely